How y'all doing? It's Dave Duford at Final Expense Agent Mentor at feagentmentor.com, and this is my very first Facebook live stream training event. Hopefully y'all can hear me okay, and hopefully this will go very good. I'm very excited, a little nervous, first time I've ever done anything live before, but hopefully we'll go over a lot of good information in this video and hopefully answer some questions you may have. So the reason I'm doing this live event is because, frankly, it kind of corresponds with why I do my mentorship program to begin with. There is just a lot of final expense opportunities that I would put into quotations, if you know what I mean. And the training quality that's out there really isn't that great. And so I'm always trying to provide goodwill and content and value to people, whether they work with me or not. This is just a fantastic way to connect with my audience and to help those out there that are in the grind trying to sell final expense and making a living at it. So every week, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue this at 11 a.m. Eastern. I might go a little bit later, but the goal is every Friday to do a video like this. And whether it's 11, 12, I'll announce a little bit later. But the goal of today's video is just a 20-minute basic training and then answering some questions that I've received over the last couple of days. The format that I'm going to follow, again, this is all kind of liquid. You know, it's new, so it may change from time to time. But the idea is if you've got questions, feel free to post them in the comment box below, and I will answer those next week. I might start answering them right away once I kind of get into the swing of things. But if you've got questions you'd like me to answer for you, starting next week, I'm going to do Q&A at the end. So the first half of the training is just going to be a basic training session. And then the latter half of it is going to be questions that were asked by my agents or by you guys out there that are just liking my page or my YouTube page. So anyways, today's training is going to be first was asked by Bobby in Arkansas. I hope you're doing well, Bobby. He asked me, and I've written down what he asked me here. He said, what are the 5 steps to being a great agent? So I think that's a really good question to ask. And I've also, as you can see behind me, I've got a whiteboard, and I'm going to list each what I think are the 5 reasons or 5 ways to be a top agent and kind of go into just a brief discussion about each of them. Because final expense is a simple business, but it certainly isn't easy. And there is a predictable, systematic way to be successful at it. It's one of those businesses where you don't have to go like reinvent the wheel. People have been doing final expense successfully in a predictable fashion for many years now. And so kind of what I'm going to go detail over here is exactly what the top guys do. In fact, in my mentorship program, that's my goal with everybody, is how do I take this agent and plug them into a system that will accelerate them to the top 10% of producers in the business. So to start answering Bob's question, we'll turn around here. The first one, hopefully you guys can see this, is the kids have been playing with my marker, so hopefully it's not too hard to see. I might grab another one here in a minute. The first one here is to go indie, go independent. So what do I mean by that? I am of the persuasion in this business that because of the people we deal with, because of the financial restrictions that these people have, that the more options we have as agents to go into the home, sit down with the prospects, and to offer them the best deals, the better chances we're going to make sales, the better chances we're going to be financially successful. And when you pigeonhole yourself with one carrier, you are limiting yourself dramatically. You're limiting yourself from an income earning standpoint. You're limiting yourself on the sales that you actually make. You will walk out of sales that you won't get because you have limited options, okay? And so going independent means, in my mind at least, carrying multiple carriers, not just one. So that when we walk into the home and we're going to sell a deal, we're not beholden to one carrier. We're going to talk to the client, figure out what their health issues are, and then pick the carrier that's going to match their situation the best. The outcome to you is more sales, you'll make more money, and truly your persistency, your quality of business sticking, because it's not, you don't make your money on the sale so much as it's staying on the books is when you really make your money. You want to make sure it does that. And having different options is very important for that. Case in point, about a year ago, I was down in a little town called Dahlonega, Georgia, up in the mountains, kind of right before you get into the Smokies and the Blue Ridge area. And this lady had taken out this plan from a guy over the phone. It was a 2-year waiting period. Okay, so she had no coverage. And she had like $1,000. It was $25 a month. It was a really small policy, but it was very overpriced, as you can imagine. I was able to offer first day full coverage. I think it was with America or Transamerica. She had COPD. And I took what she was paying, cut it down by 10 to 15 bucks, actually doubled or tripled her coverage, and she was fully covered. So that guy lost a deal, and I took it. Okay, so that's why you have options, so that you can make sales and you can be successful. That's very important in this business. So number 2 question, or number 2 way, that's more like it, a little better to see, is to focus on face-to-face sales. Telesales agents are more prevalent now than ever in this business. I think, though, that historically, again, we want to do what works well, okay? In any kind of business, it doesn't matter if it's final expense or mortgage protection or whatever. Final expense has traditionally been sold face-to-face, and it works effectively. It works very well. I'm not here to say, because I'm sure there's people on here who do some kind of telesales. I'm totally cool with that. I have no problem with that. I just think that for a rank beginner, somebody who's getting started in final expense, unless you've had phone room experience or you've worked in an environment where you've done outbound calls and you know how to sell over the phone, I think it's massively easier just to do it the old-fashioned way. Spare yourself the frustrations of overcoming objections and that kind of thing. As far as agents that work with me, my focus is on guys and gals who want to do face-to-face sales. Again, I don't like to reinvent the wheel. I like to do what works, and that's how we do it. So number 3 here is, again, top 5 things in order to be successful in the final expense business is to market with the right kind of leads. So kind of qualified leads. Hope you guys can see that okay. When I say the right kind of leads. Again, final expense is a simple business. It's not easy, but it's simple. And the ways to be successful from a marketing standpoint are not some sort of secret sauce, okay? It's well known. The top 10% of agents in this business pretty much primarily do direct mail final expense leads. There are other leads out there. If you've perused my website or you've seen my materials, I sell avatar final expense leads. They work great. But like, for example, I had an agent this morning. He loves avatar leads. He likes them a lot. He does very well with them. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't want to tool or fool with what ain't broke, as they say down here in Tennessee. But the problem we're getting with his leads is that it's very hard to sustain an avatar lead program over a continual period of time if you're not open to traveling 2 to 3 hours out. It's an unfortunate reality unless you live in a very populated area like Dallas or LA or somewhere like that. That's kind of the exception. But most of us who sell final expense don't live in some huge area. And so at the end of the day, there's kind of this breaking point to where there's so much windshield time that direct mail is the way you want to go anyway. And even if you didn't start with avatars, direct mail is always better to start with. Why is direct mail good? Well, first of all, direct mail is consistent, more consistent than really any other lead. The quality of the response is a lot better, in my opinion. What else is good about direct mail? Direct mail, you don't have a do not call list to contend with, okay? When you do any kind of telemarketing lead, if you do dealing with somebody who's compliant, you're only relegated to like 20% of the population to call on. That's it. That's it. So that's why it takes so much geography to fulfill a campaign. Whereas right now, at least, there's been no politician that's trying to gerrymander the direct mail business, and so we can mail anybody. So it's best to move that direction because you will be more efficient. Yeah, the lead's more expensive, but because you're more efficient, you're going to make more sales, and you're going to be happier in the long term. Again, if you look at my agency and my guys that are writing $15,000, $20,000 a month, 95% of those guys are on direct mail. So again, goes back to that simple concept. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just do what works. That's what matters, all right? So point number 4, hopefully we're still got space here, is work your ass off. Sorry to throw a little language in there, but it is timely and relevant to this video. The biggest thing with final expense is that I believe it is a working person's profession. If you just want to sell and you don't want to go out there and try to master some exotic type of insurance instrument. Hold on one second. Excuse me. If you just want to get out there and make sales, final expense is it, because it's simple, like I've said multiple times. But you got to go see people to do it, okay? You know, in final expense, it's a grind. There's no doubt about it. You have got to go fight to see the people. You've got to get out there to make the sales. If you don't get out there to make the sales, you don't make nothing, all right? And so with final expense, you've got to go set appointments with people. If they don't pick the phone up, you got to go see the people. You got to take the card in hand and knock on the door and see if you can get in. That's how you have to be successful in this business. And again, you can talk to people who have been doing this for 10 years. That's what they do. That's what they all do every single day. Now, as you spend time in this business, you get the luxury of call-ins and referrals. That's nice. I've been in this business 5 years, and it's a nice little extra income boost, especially if you have a down week from time to time. But especially you guys in the beginning, you have got to fight to see every single lead every single week. Because if you don't, you're going to run into all sorts of problems. You're not going to make money. You're not going to get the kind of return that you want. And I'll add this too, because it's very important. I can tell you that most people don't like to call or don't like to pick the phone up and call. Totally understand, I'm the same way. But if you outsource your appointment setting, or if you don't want to go see people and knock on doors, you're losing a ton of money, okay? Many times the difference between breaking even and making a great living in final expenses, taking those leads and knocking on doors of those who don't answer the phone, okay? So if you're in that position, I'm just imploring that you get out there and you see these people and you make the sales, okay? So down to point number 5, I guess this kind of bleeds into the last section I was talking about, is that you gotta knock doors and you gotta call. Like I said, final expense is all about seeing the people, okay? It's about how many people can I see every single day to do the best job I can to make the most sales. If you are not out there working it, if you're not out there having doors slammed in your face, that's the worst of it. It really doesn't happen all that much. But if you're not out there doing the job to be successful in this business, you're not going to be successful in this business. The best strategy I teach agents to do, especially if they start with 20, 25 leads, they don't have a lot, is go door knock the leads. I think that's a lot easier to do than call people on the phone, because the phone takes a level of skill that's a little different than door knocking. Whereas if you just show up and if you make eye contact with people, if you shake their hand and you tell them why you're there, you make a connection immediately. You've got body language behind you, you've got tonality, you've got the whole package. And people are much less inclined to be jerks in front of you than to be jerks over the phone, okay? So if you want more follow-through with your leads, just door knocking. And I can tell you, a lot of the big final expense players in this business teach their agents do not make phone calls for this very reason. Because sometimes you will lose deals if you set them up over the phone and you're not skilled enough in this business, okay? So that's the 5 things that I think are important to becoming successful in the final expense business. Again, going independent, having multiple carriers is very important. Focusing on face-to-face sales, just do what already has been proven to work well. Dial into a good lead program, specifically direct mail as soon as you can. That is the place where you want to get to if you're not able to get to yet. And once you're there, you want to stay. You never want to change anything. Again, this may be for another show, but bottom line is you don't want to think too hard about the lead generation process. Direct mail works. Don't do direct mail. Don't second guess it. Number 4 here is work hard, see the people, fight to see the people. And then point number 5 here, of course, is do what it takes to door knock, do what it takes to call, and do what it takes to work these leads so that you are successful in this business. Great. All right, so I got a couple of questions here that were accumulated over this week. Again, if you're watching and you're tuning in now and you have a question about anything final expense, if you go down here to the comment box, please leave me a comment. ask me a question. I'll be happy to answer it next week. I'm going to accumulate questions as I'm going through these video live streams. I may answer them live once I get set up and I can answer them live. But right now, if you got questions, leave them. Make sure you give me a thumbs up and share this video too as well if you've liked everything you've seen so far. All right, so the first question I actually got from one of my agents in Illinois. Actually, no, I take that back. First question I got here was from somebody who buys avatar leads from me in Texas. His name is Shelly. Shelly was asking me about claims. And he had a carrier, I'm not going to name the carrier, who is basically the client died within the first 2 years, okay? And it's taken 3 months. They've not gotten anywhere near paying a sale, or paying the claim, okay? And he's upset. Of course he's upset because he told the client that he would be fully covered, and now they're dragging their feet and not paying the claim as of yet. So he kind of wondered, well, what is this like? Well, first of all, that is typical of every final expense company. Every final expense company, depending on the state laws, but most of them are 2 years, can contest a claim if death occurs within the first 2 years. The reason they do that is to protect the group of the insurance company itself from adverse selection. What that means is if somebody knows they've got cancer, somehow gets approved anyway for full coverage, they die a month later, that's going to cause some fishiness. Okay, and so that's why these companies go investigate. They have the right to pull all sorts of medical records over a long period of time to ascertain if that claim should be paid or shouldn't. Doesn't mean it won't be paid, but it means that it could not be paid. If something pops up, that never should have came up. So a couple examples. So maybe you're wondering, well, how fast do these guys pay in contestability? I had 2 companies. I'll mention them because they did a great job. Lafayette Life out of Cincinnati, and then United Heritage out of Boise, Idaho. Both played a contestable claim. The Lafayette guy was 70 and had a $20,000 plan. The United Heritage guy was 85 and had a $25,000 plan. They contest the claims, they pulled medical records, and they paid those claims within 3 to 4 months. Lightning fast. The guys were in perfect shape when they took out the plans, but died. One guy died 6 months later, the other guy died 14 months later. But the point is that contestable claims will pay if everything's clean. But it is something that every company does, or at least has a right to do, and they pretty much all do it. And I'll leave you with this before going to the next question. There is no companies that doesn't contest a claim. It is not prudent to not contest a claim. It may suck for us, it may suck for the family, but they do that to protect the viability of the insurer as well as the product offering as well. So if you hear any companies out there that say they pay claims within 24 hours, that is claims that are uncontested because they've been past a 2-year point, or it's after they have been through contesting and now that they've been approved. Hopefully that makes sense. A little thing that people say or groups out there say, they aren't entirely telling you the truth. So question 2, this is a really good point I wanted to bring up. How to leave your agency. I had an agent of mine who was with another agency. He moved over to me, and he made the mistake of telling his agency that he was leaving. And all of a sudden, he got terminated from multiple carriers, and then the carriers actually vectored him, so that he is having a very difficult time to get appointed with new carriers, because at this point, bottom line, he can't get appointed because he's got a vector on the book. He's got to pay back money or at least set up a payment plan. So while in most normal circumstances, you want to tell your employer you're leaving, you're moving on to new things, you're done working with them. Unfortunately, in this business, you want to make sure you protect yourself, because especially if you don't entirely trust the person you're working with, you want to make sure that if you move to another carrier or another agency, that you get those contracts first before telling somebody that you're terminating or you have moved on. And that's just to protect yourself, because unfortunately in this business there's a lot of players who aren't very ethical and don't care about basically shutting you out of the business. So make sure you mind how you go out, so that you make sure you go out and you can actually still sell. Very important. And then the last question here is this is the one from my agent in Illinois. She was telling me she was talking to a client of hers. She sells Medicare, and the client has another plan out there, very expensive plan. You may know who it is if you watch my videos. but is a little reluctant about meeting to go over the plan because of the cash value and that kind of thing. So she wanted me to address this, and I said I'd do it on this video. So here's the thing. The more you tell, the less you sell when you're on the phone. When you're in front of them, totally different scenario. But the goal is when you are calling up somebody on the phone, it's not to talk shop, okay? Your goal is to sell an appointment. What do I mean by that? Well, we don't want to tell too much to give leverage to the person to tell us no. We want to sell the ease of ease of meeting. Just takes a few minutes. What we got is totally different from what you have. And we want to sell why we should meet and why it's okay to meet even if you've got coverage, or even if you don't have the money today, or even if you think you don't need it. Because the act of being in front of somebody to review a policy is a lot more powerful than over the phone, where you're going to just get resistance from people in general anyway. A lot of people are busy. They don't want to go through the hassle of looking for my policy. I don't even know where it is, much less I'm not even interested to save money. You want to just set the appointment, sell the ease of it, that, hey, look, I'm not going to force you to do anything you don't want to do. Just, 5 minutes is all I need. That's all I need, If you just do it like that and worry about talking shop when you get in the door later, that's the best way to set appointments, whether it's your existing customers or whether it's, for most of you guys, brand new leads, okay? So that's it. I think I'm well over the 20-minute mark. These things go by faster than I always expect them to do. Please stay tuned for next week's final expense training video. Hope you enjoyed this first one. Hopefully everything worked well. You saw everything streamed fine. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to check after this. If you're interested in learning about anything that I offer a final expense appointment setting for agents, final expense avatar telemarketing leads, and of course my flagship program, the mentorship business, to help agents who are new to the business or experienced but want a better training and mentorship experience. Go to my website. It's FEAgentMentor.com. Check it out. I got so much free training over there that doesn't cost a dime. And if you'd like to contact me, go to the top of the web page, click the contact button, fill a form out, and we can begin a conversation. My name's Dave Duford, Final Expense Agent Mentor. Y'all take care. Thanks.